Hi guys, and welcome back to Mangotology. If you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Steven Mango, and I'm an ex-Scientologist that works here on YouTube to expose Scientology. So if you want to stay up to date on all my videos, please make sure to go down below, hit that red subscribe button, and turn on your bell notifications, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video exposing Scientology. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers, guys. It is my goal to hit that, I would say, probably early next month, maybe, if possible. So if you guys like my videos and like videos exposing and talking about the Church of Scientology, then subscribe. Stay tuned. I have a lot of really cool, exciting videos coming your way. Before we get into today's video, I did want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is the Coldest Water. Now, they are sponsoring a number of videos here on Mangotology, which I am so grateful and so excited about, being an ex-Scientologist and having a brand come and say that they want to support my content and help me out is really an awesome blessing. And in return, I get to also share with you guys their product, which is this insulated water bottle. They come in different sizes. As you can see in the back, there's like a gallon size one on my bed. It is, I believe, 16 or 20 ounces, this one right here, which fits about a plastic water bottle and like a little bit more as well. And it stays cold, or it could stay hot for you for 24 to 48 hours. It is a really great product. I get a lot of people wanting to do sponsorships and stuff between here and my other channels and stuff like that, and a lot of products I'm like, no, but this is a product that I actually use. I love every single day. I'm telling you guys, I love this. And it also has a little straw, so you can obviously consume it with the rubber straw. It's reusable. You could fill it up with basically anything. So instead of having to always have those water bottles that have like the condensation on the outside, this is nice, dry, sleek, and stylish. It has a hook, so you can hook it on to like your bike, or you can put it into any cup holder. That it's universal basically, so it fits most cup holders. So if you guys are interested in getting one of these and supporting a sponsor who is helping me expose the Church of Scientology, then go down below. We have links. If you use my code MANGO, you're going to get free shipping, and there's more information. We might even be doing a giveaway, so check out the links down in the description box if you'd like to get yourself one. So anyways, onto the video. Hi again, guys. So I'm sure you saw the title of this video and wondering, is this clickbait? What's going on? It is something we are going to be talking about in the video, because we are doing a question and answer today. You guys have been sending me in all of your questions, and a lot of you guys email me questions, you tweet them, you Instagram, DM me, and I get flooded every single day. I can't basically sit down and answer every single one, but if you do send in questions, I am going to be doing a part 2 to this video, as well as possibly more coming up in the very near future. So if you guys do have questions about Scientology, or you want me to address something here on my channel, I would love to do that. So just send me an email. My links down to my email address is in the description, or you can obviously find me on social media at stevenmango and send me in your questions. And if you have sent me in a question, one of yours might be actually being read today in the video. I have hundreds and hundreds, so I can possibly do a million of these if you guys like the question and answer kind of style. Maybe I'll do some live streams here if you guys like live streams, and I can answer your questions in real time. But I am going to answer a few of your questions here today, so let's get started. How can an average person afford Scientology? This question I get asked a lot, because a lot of people wonder, like, hey, you were an 18-year-old kid when you got started, and of course I was in for a couple of years past that. How were you able to afford $50,000? And I was 15 years old, or 18 years old rather. I'm just talking as a hypothetical person. I could barely afford a taco, or I was in college. Like, how could you afford that? And the truth was, I really couldn't. I did have a job. I was doing stand-in work and background work on television shows. That is union pay, and you do make money doing that. It's not what some people think of that. It's like a real job in Hollywood that you can make a lot of money doing, being in the background of television shows if you're in the Screen Actors Guild. But again, when you live in Los Angeles and you have $1,500 rent, and then you have utilities and payments for cars and all sorts of things, and acting classes and headshots and all of that, it's several $1,000s a month just to live and try to make it as an actor. So I of course never had any money left over to be paying for things, but at the time I was still kind of establishing my credit. So in the beginning my credit really wasn't established, so I couldn't get approved for a lot. Eventually, in the next like 2-3 years, I was able to start getting approved for credit cards, and what they would do is contact people higher up in the banks. They would contact their Scientology contacts at the credit card companies or the loan companies, whatever, and they would get you approved for much significantly higher credit than you could actually probably get approved for. So say my credit score is 700, for example. I'm just giving a random number now. Right now it's like still bad because of the debt that Scientology placed me in, but just pretend it's 700. And Scientology, and the banks say would approve me for 5,000, just pretend. But with that credit score, they can maybe get away with giving me an extra 5 or 10,000. So then all of a sudden they can bump it up to 15,000 by calling their Scientology contact. So if you do that 4 or 5 times in one day at a bank, you can easily have $75,000, because that's all before the credit is being reported and shown on the credit report, because they're all doing it at the same time and calling the banks at the same time before it actually pings with TransUnion, Experian, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of how they get away with doing that, and they do that several times, and they get you all this credit. And a lot of the times too, they'd get money off of my debit cards and without my authorization, because they knew I wouldn't report it because I get declared. You can't ask for your money back. But then they could somehow get away with doing criminal activity like that, which makes absolutely no sense. But you don't go to the police or report it, because there's justice in Scientology. They have their own ethics, they have their own court system, sort of. So they never contact police or anything, or lawyers or anything in Scientology. So you always have to go through the church system, which again helps them from being able to avoid ever having to face criminal charges and stuff, and possibly lose their tax exemption. So everything's handled internally with Scientology. But with me, you know, especially, they would take hundreds of dollars, maybe if they had a fundraiser thing or something, they'd be like, oh, Steve, we charged all this money. And we're like, I didn't approve that. But that's basically how the average person affords it, because most people, unless you're a doctor, a dentist, or you're like some sort of really wealthy person, you have a trust fund, those are the only people that could afford to pay the $1 million for the Scientology bridge. The average person's taking out loans, taking out second mortgages, and doing things in order to, you know, benefit Scientology, more or less. How long do you plan to expose Scientology for, and what are your plans for the future? That's a good question. You guys have known, especially with me, I'll go through periods where I'm like posting every single day. I'm on television, I'm on the news, I'm on radio shows, and like I do everything I can to get the word out about Scientology, and I'm motivated and I want to talk about it. And then other times I'm either triggered, or I'm post-traumatic stress and I'm having flashbacks and I'm just like really triggered and I'm going, you know, through, you know, emotional stuff with it. Or, you know, I have other things going on in my life and I don't post for a few months, or I don't do anything exposing Scientology. So for me, it's really, you know, dependent on the day and how I feel about it. I never set out when I first did YouTube to become a YouTuber. Like when I posted my first video, I didn't think that I would have like a whole channel years later talking about it, but I love what I do and I love exposing the church and I love helping people and getting the word out and doing this and having this be like a video diary outlet for me, because my channel is different than other channels that, you know, you have people doing these boring dissertations about Scientology and Mary Sue Hubbard and policy letters, and if you guys want me to talk about that stuff, I can, but I really feel like you guys like to hear more of like the personal story and kind of hearing about my journey and my time in and kind of more of the emotional side of it, so I'd like to share that with you guys. So I don't know if you guys like that or not, but my plans for the future, I've been really debating what's going on in my life. Honestly, you guys know that. I didn't update my last video about Jennifer Lopez. It was about 17 minutes in if you want to see like my update about like my therapy and why I fired my therapist and like kind of what's going on. So that's in the Jennifer Lopez video. One before this one, about 17 minutes or so in the video, like near the end. And I don't know what I want to do with my life, guys. I love doing YouTube and I want to be a YouTuber, and it's actually kind of cool because besides just the Coldest Water promotion, in the last couple days, just crazy, I've got in, I think, 4 or 5 companies that are sponsoring, like, I think 14 videos I have to do, like, sponsored videos for Mango Tea and my other channels and stuff like that. So I'm like, wow, like, all of a sudden I just got this big burst of, you know, promotional sponsorships and money and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, like I really want to do this and blow this up and become like a huge YouTuber, not just doing Scientology stuff, but obviously the gossip stuff, and I'm doing a podcast soon, and I really do love making videos and stuff. I don't really have hopes and dreams of acting anymore. I would love to be an actor, guys, don't get me wrong. I go to PR events and I try to network and meet people and stuff now, but I don't really want to, not that I don't want to, like I would love to be a guest starring actor on a TV show. Maybe I'll start taking some more acting classes and stuff again, but I really don't want to do it. Like I love making my own content and make my own videos and maybe do a documentary, and I love that sort of stuff, but I don't like being one of 10,000 submissions for any one acting role. That's how many they get, and they call in 20 people to audition. So it's like you have to be 1 out of 20 of 10,000 submissions to get called in for a role, and there's people with huge acting resumes and celebrities you go up against, so it's like it's almost like the odds are always stacked against you. And maybe one day I'll book a big acting job and that'll be fun, but I'm not trying to count on that as like my main thing. In my other video I mentioned like I kind of wanted to go to nursing school a little bit, not because I want to help sick people, but because I wanted to do like beauty and cosmetics and plastic surgery stuff, and you can do Botox and fillers and chemical peels, and that's kind of my passion is like beauty stuff. So I think I would love to do that. Just going to school for several years is just like, oh my god, I don't know how I can do that because I have bad credit and I don't have the ability to get a loan to like these for-profit schools, because like a lot of the schools in LA for nursing have like a lottery system. It takes years to get in. You can go to a for-profit school, but it's like $145,000. It's like I don't have $145,000 to go to school, so I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But it's something that I was thinking about. Then at one point, maybe I'll go to Vegas and I can deal cards for a little bit, or I can, you know, work in a casino here. I'm like, I don't really know if I want to work in a casino though. And it's just to more get out of the house and meet people and feel purpose and passion. And you know, when you try to be an actor and you get rejected every day for 10 years, essentially that's what it feels like. And it's hard to get your foot in the door and you don't have anything to show for all your hard work. It takes a big toll on me. So I don't know what the future kind of holds. And I went off a little bit of a tangent, but in terms of like Scientology exposing, I am going to do more. It's just I'm trying not to, you know, screw up my head by always like reliving these traumatic events over and over. So that's what I have to say about that. Have you slept with any Scientology celebrities? Now, I actually get this question a lot, and I think I answered this in a video a long time ago, and people always wonder, like, did you sleep with Tom Cruise or John Travolta? Did you ever have, like, an intimate experience? Because they're all supposed to be closeted and gay and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, John Travolta had rumors about him being gay, and there was even somebody who told me recently, like in the 80s or something, when they were in the Sea Org, David Miscavige referred to John Travolta in a gay derogatory way, so I'm thinking, oh, you know, maybe he is, I don't know. But again, I'm not going to speculate about someone's sexuality, but it's like, I wonder if that was true or not. Because, you know, people tell me all sorts of things, but I can't prove that necessarily. But in terms of if I ever have, no, never slept with John Travolta, Tom Cruise, Giovanni Ribisi, like any of those celebrities or anything like that. I mean, would I have been opposed to it then? No, I was in the closet, so I don't know. But, yeah, did not sleep with any Scientology celebrities. What are your thoughts on the independent Scientology movement, and is it just as destructive as going into an actual Scientology org itself? When I first came out of Scientology, I know people kind of misconstrue what I said in my first documentary about independent Scientology, because I was kind of saying, oh, maybe one day the church could change and could be a good thing. People were like, no, 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 and even at my movie premiere, they're like booing me and stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't say that. I didn't say I was an independent Scientologist or anything like that. I don't, again, disclaimer, not an independent Scientologist, do not practice Scientology or anything like that. But when I first got out, I did have a prominent, you guys could probably imagine, what YouTuber might have, who was a Scientologist, might have audited me back in the day, but I did get auditing when I first came out of the church to help me with the post-traumatic stress and whatever, because I still believed in it for a short period of time. But again, that was like 2012. This was, again, 7 years ago, guys. And what's actually funny to me is most of the ex-Scientologists, especially the ones on YouTube, and just a lot of the ones that you see even on TV and stuff, they will publicly say, I am not a Scientologist or an ex-Scientologist. So go on all these blogs and I hate L. Ron Hubbard, I hate Scientology. And then you see or hear of them posting success stories, or you just hear or know that they're still auditing people or they're still receiving auditing. It's like such a double standard, I think, and it's kind of weird to me, to say the least. But is it as destructive, whatever? Okay, this is what I want to say about that too. There are probably like 20 to 40 independent Scientologists in America that are like practicing Scientology right now. So it's not a movement. It's just a couple of people who left the church who still believe in Scientology practices and philosophy and all that sort of stuff. So I do not believe that it's a big booming mission or something like that. But is it as destructive? Again, this is, I think, if the person has good intentions and they're trying to help people and use Scientology life counseling to like help people, again, that's maybe, you know, two people who want to do it, that's their prerogative, okay. I, again, don't agree with that. Most of them that I've seen charge about $100 to $200 an hour, so it's not really cheaper than Scientology, honestly. But, you know, people think, well, if I'm not in an actual org, and if someone wants to deliver auditing to me, and I'm not being pressured for donations to join the C organization, and I'm not being forced to give up my family and my friends, like, isn't it something I could still practice? It's like, well, you, again, it's a complicated, it's a whole nother video answer, so I'm not going to go into a whole entire dissertation about that, but I just feel that most independent Scientologists are still practicing Scientology, they're still auditing, they're still using the e-meter, they're still delivering what L. Ron Hubbard says. So again, you're still doing Scientology in one way or another, so I don't really think necessarily it's any better. I mean, maybe it's a little bit better, I guess. You're comparing evil to slightly evil, I guess, right? But I'm more of on the spectrum with Scientology in general. Nothing's black or white in life, guys. No matter how much you want to believe that someone is all evil or all good, no one and nothing is. Everything's on a spectrum, and I feel like if Scientology you know, if this is evil and this is amazing, it might be more on this side. It's not going to be over here, obviously, but same thing with independent Scientology. It might be kind of floating in a little bit more around here because they're not, you know, destroying people's lives maybe, right? But I know independent Scientologists too, and I know some that are really amazing, but I just think that it depends on the person's intention, or is it just another money grab? Will you ever have a Scientology protest with subscribers or a Mangotology meetup? I would love to, honestly. If you guys want me to do one, let me know down below. Email me. Maybe I can try to organize something. A lot of you guys have been asking to do like a protest or a meetup or a Mangotology thing. So if you guys want to come to Los Angeles, tell me if you guys really would come, and like if I set a date, like pretend November 15th, would you show up November 15th if I book a restaurant or if I do something to have you guys all come and hang out with me and talk about Scientology or experiences, whatever? It would be a private event. Let me know. I can try to figure out how to organize that, but it would have to be significant. I just don't want 2 people to show up. Like if I can get like a group of us to go in Los Angeles, then I would be happy to do that. In terms of protesting, and people have been asking about like, are there gonna be more protesting videos and stuff like that? I would love to. My last one was with Nasty Nathaniel, and you guys saw that they were like shining flashlights in our camera and just being really aggressive. And the other thing that I wanted to address about that, just very briefly, was someone sent me a clip of a Chris Shelton video, and he was, and again, no hate to Chris Shelton if he's watching this or something like that about what I'm saying, but he said in his video, and he kind of lumped me in with Nasty Nathaniel, Angry Gay Pope, as being like these aggressive style protesters, because he said Angry Gay Pope, Nasty Nathaniel, and now Steven Mango, trying to make it seem like our protesting style was more outlandish or something like that. And again, Angry Gay Pope has his own protesting style. You either love or hate that type of style. Nasty Nathaniel, he's putting cameras in people's face going, hi guys, whatever, right? And I love Nasty Nathaniel. He's a friend of mine, whatever. That's not shade to him. Everyone has their own style on how they deal with protesting and whatever. For me, I'm more shy, more reserved and quiet. Like I do like to film. I like to go and sometimes talk to the Scientologists and stuff like that and try to like impart little things of wisdom. And I didn't know that's how Nathaniel protested before I protested with him. So it's a little, you know, kind of caught off guard, like, oh, like I didn't know he was like putting cameras in people's face and just like much more like chasing them down, which is not really how I like to protest, but it was still fun. It was just not how I normally protest, so I think that's what Chris Shelton was kind of saying, but again, I'm not understanding necessarily why he lumped me in that category, because Chris was also saying something along the lines of like, oh, with protesting and stuff like that, like it doesn't work, and the Scientologists like instantly like have their TRs in and they don't pay attention, they just think you're a DB or and a suppressive person and all this sort of stuff. And I want to disagree with him also on that point, because when I was at Celebrity Center going to like say like the gala, there was like a row of protesters, and even like going to the Shrine Auditorium, I think I even saw Tori Christman there one year when I was still like a member, right? And they say stuff and you see the signs, like they still put them up in your face. And I remember when I was in the church and people were talking about it, right? Like, oh, did you see the protesters and stuff like that? So I know that people see the messages and wonder, is it true? And eventually enough times it's going to make you wonder, and it's just planting little seeds of doubt in the mind. And eventually one day you're going to wake up and realize like, oh, like this is exactly what those protesters were saying. I'm not the only one who's observed these outpoints. So I do think it's effective. He doesn't think so, but I think the protesting is effective. I know that's going off again from what the question was, but I would like to do a like Mangotology meetup or something with you guys, so let me know honestly if you guys would show up, and I'll try to plan something maybe even this year. Where do you see Scientology in 5 to 10 years? Do you think Scientology will effectively carry on into the future 50, 100 years down the road? Yeah, that's a good question, because I think that with these lawsuits coming out and David Miscavige getting served and going to get deposed and Shelley Miscavige and all of the stuff that is the horrible crimes, people aren't afraid to speak out. And this also ties into another question that I'm going to answer as part of this. And the question was, what type of an impact do you think Scientology's outspoken critics are having overall? What are your opinions on the major top critics who speak out publicly? So I'm going to tie that all in together. So I feel like with the critics speaking out about Scientology, whether it's me, whether it's other people who speak out and stuff like that, I respect anyone who's going to have the balls to go up against Scientology, and I think that's great. That doesn't mean I like a lot of or all of the ex-Scientologists who are critics. You know, personally, I have some that I think are great, some that I think are kind of like not great, and they don't like me. Some people love me, some people don't. That's just how I am as a person. People either love me or hate me. It's not anything new. But with the critics and stuff, think about it. Like 40 years ago, unless you read some little tiny blurb in a newspaper, or you missed the nightly news maybe on the one segment of Scientology that comes out, you're fine. You're in the org. You might not even see the news that day. There's no YouTube, there's no internet, whatever, right? But now with everyone speaking out and people not being afraid, Leah's show going clear, my Scientology movie, like all these different things that have been coming out are now helping to take down Scientology. The media's not afraid, the public's not afraid, and people actually, all you guys know everything that happens inside Scientology. There's no secrets anymore, and this is just what it is. I think that eventually the Scientologists, especially a lot of the critics and stuff, are like 50 plus, like they're like 80 years old, right? 70 years old, a lot of these critics, because they were like from like Hubbard days. So no shade to them, but they're old, and they're going to die off, just like the Scientologists are going to die off. And the trained class 12 auditors that have been around for 50 years are going to die, and then who's going to replace them, because there's not young millennials like myself to get in. If Scientology was smart, they would target young millennials like me who could maybe use their platform to promote Scientology, right? Or get people in, but no one wants to talk about Scientology. Everyone knows it's a cult. No one's going to go on YouTube and have a pro-Scientology channel. No one's going to watch that seriously. But yeah, the young people aren't being brought in, like new public. They're second and third generations, which are maybe, you know, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, right? But eventually, even them, you know, they're going to die off. And there's not a constant stream of new people like training to be auditors going up the bridge. And I think that in another 50 years, like I don't even know if they'll have their tax exemption by then. Like if they're a business organization, that's gonna be one thing. I think the Sea Org eventually will be dismantled, and they're not gonna have religious protection, and they're gonna be a business. And that's why, I don't know if you guys saw the article in the Tampa Bay Times. It was like Clear Takeover, I think it was called, about how Scientology and Clearwater, they basically monopolized Clearwater and bought like 300 properties or 200 properties in the last 3 years. And it's really, really interesting. Check the article out. It came out like 2 or 3 days ago, and it just goes to show you that they're using their assets or their money to get, like, say, public members to start up LLCs and then pummel money into buildings and all sorts of other things, so they can kind of hide their money in different real estate transactions and stuff. So it's just really crazy how that's happening. And I think that, yeah, 50, 100 years down the road, I don't know if we'll have Scientology that exists. Maybe they'll just be a real estate corporation. In terms of the critics, I was trying to remember the second part of the question. It said about, what are your opinions on major top critics? I think some have good intentions, some don't. Some people probably think I don't have good intentions, I just want to be famous or something like that, or, you know, I'm just doing this for my own personal narcissistic needs, which is not the case. I don't have to do this. I don't, you know, this isn't getting me famous. You guys don't see me on big television shows or getting acting jobs. It doesn't benefit me in that way. It's honestly just because I have a desire to help people and educate people about Scientology, and it's just a big passion of mine. Anyone who knows me knows that my goal is to help people with my channel. I think some people don't have either good intentions. I know some who, you know, hate L. Ron Hubbard with the passion, or they present that way publicly and then they practice Scientology behind the scenes, like I was kind of saying earlier. I'm trying not to make this about drama or like spilling the tea or anything like that, but with Tony Ortega, recently I'm just kind of confused with Tony. I feel like he's been a little bit more aggressive with other critics. I know like Aaron Smith-Levin had a problem with Tony Ortega, Nora Crest, and some other people behind the scenes are writing to me about Tony Ortega, and I'm just kind of confused what's going on. He got really upset with me that I mentioned his name in the Shelley Miscavige video, because I made a video and it was called, "Is Shelley Miscavige in an Underground Bunker?" Because there was a media article and it was basically similarly titled asking if Shelley was in the bunker. So I used that not really as clickbait, but as a way to get you guys to watch the video, and it was the topic, is she in this bunker? So I was talking about the theories and speculating on if Scientology does have an underground bunker or not. And then he was all very, Tony being specific, that I said on my article, and I said that that underground bunker was a shooting range or something. It's like, okay, but there's still the chance that they could have other underground bunkers. And I think that he takes on like a leadership role of like, he's almost like the main 100% Scientology source who knows everything and is like the god of a lot of ex-Scientologists, like worship Tony Ortega, maybe not like physically worshiping, but they do bow down to him in a lot of ways. And this is not hate towards Tony Ortega. I met him before and he was really nice, and I think that for him to be taking a lot of work to expose Scientology and his blog and everything is great, obviously, and I've credited him when I make videos like talking about his articles and stuff like that. So it's not even about that. It's just me trying to say that he got offended that I mentioned his name as like, oh yeah, Tony Ortega also wasn't at Gold's base. So that's what I said that kind of upset him. I said, I wasn't at Gold base, neither is Tony Ortega, to act like he knows 100% say where Shelly is, or 100% about what the underground bunker is used for, whatever. Like, yeah, you can ask some other sources, but again, there really hasn't been a big public defector besides Valerie Haney, who came out of Gold base, and that was like 2-3 years ago, right? Or maybe it was even longer than that. But again, we don't really know 100%. Things change minute by minute, especially in a cult. Like, you think that if we all 100% knew where Shelly was 100% exactly, they're not going to move her if she was indeed alive, and they, oh, okay, because the whole world knows she's in this one spot, they're not going to keep her there, right? So it's just, in my mind, I don't believe that. I have my own opinions, unlike Tony Ortega has his own opinions. Again, I don't hate Tony Ortega. I'm just trying to say to you guys, like, it was just like, it's so weird, like, and you mentioned me on your channel, and like, almost like I made a whole video about him, and he got so, like, offended or butthurt. I'm like, I didn't say anything, but he was so offended that I made it, like, almost like I discredited him by being like, he also doesn't know. I don't, but that's the truth. That's the fact of the matter, right? So I think sometimes that's why there's like the drama of the ex-Scientology community or critics and people like that. Like, there's some great ones, there's some not so great ones. You know, it depends. I know that there's certain ones who like may or may not like me. I know, like, I don't think Aaron Smith-Levin likes me. Honestly, like, he unfriended me once, and I think like he had an issue with me. I don't know what the issue was. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know. Like, there's other like major like critics and stuff like that. Like, I feel like when my dog died, I wrote and I reached out to Mike Rinder, and he was almost like kind of like brushing the idea aside. Like, I think he gave like a 1-sentence response about it. It's like, okay, but it's like, how do you know if they did it or not? Like, obviously, if I'm being followed and my dog's being poisoned after being, you know, outside in our gated property, and I have private investigators outside my house, like, you don't think that's something to investigate? Whereas Leah Remini actually did like take in the time to like write to me and give me a detective's information from the LAPD and wanted me to report it and everything. So sometimes I don't know if they're like a little short with me, if they don't really like me, or they don't know who I am, or don't get a good idea or vibe off of me or something like that. I don't know. You guys can ask me specifically about specific critics if you really want me to like spill the tea on anyone specifically. That's not what this channel is here for. I think anyone who's speaking out against Scientology, it's great, regardless if, you know, I personally like them or not. But I'm just telling you guys, like, that was the question. What do you think of some of the major critics? I think some of them are great, some of them are not. Some of them are extremists too, where it's all about, you know, exposing Scientology 24/7, around the clock, like always online, always on these message boards, posting about Scientology aggressively. It's like, come on guys, like, take a breather once in a while. Like, you have to like live your life. And that was my thing too. It's like, I want to live my life and enjoy, and not always just feel like surrounded by Scientology, or thinking about, like, I have goals and I have things I want to do with my life. I just don't want Scientology to still consume my thoughts, because then they still win. And I don't want, obviously, that to happen. Oh, and going back to the Tony Ortega thing, just because I just thought about it, he went in every single Scientology critics group. Like, there's like a number of them that are public and some of them that are private. He went in every single one of the critic groups and like copy and pasted the same message to me about like how I mentioned him in the video, and how almost like I was being deceptive in my video to mention about the underground bunker thing or something like that. And he posted like a million things. I'm like, Tony, if you want to talk to me, if you have a problem or something like that, like, just message me directly, and didn't. So I'm just like, okay, but it's like, but you want to publicly call me out, but you won't privately write to me if there's a problem. So I just don't like when people do that. That's always a little bit weird. I am going to end the video basically here. I have a lot of questions. I'm going to do a part 2 right after this. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I kind of spilled a lot of tea in this video, but I know that you guys always like hearing all my stories and stuff like that. Stay tuned for part 2. Check out the Coldest Water, code MANGO for free shipping. I am going to work on part 2 of this video right now and edit this to go up tonight for you guys. I love you guys so much. I just want to say again, you guys are the reason that I'm like here and doing these videos and motivated, and, you know, just didn't give in to my dark thoughts over the years. And I have you guys always reaching out to me, emailing me, making me feel better, and or, you know, just showing support and love and watching my videos, subscribing, and, you know, just supporting all that I do and all my YouTube channels. And I just like really, really love you guys. And I just wanted to publicly put that out there, that you guys are the reason that I'm still here kicking, making these videos, and I enjoy this work. It gives me purpose and passion to be able to help and to expose this church. And whether, you know, I feel like sometimes people come and go, or a project comes out and, you know, people do like one little burst of exposing Scientology, then go away. I've been here for you guys for the long haul. And if you guys have more questions and things you want me to answer, email me, leave a comment down below. If you just want to send me an email just sharing your story and your thoughts, I love hearing from you guys, and those emails always make my day as well. Yeah, so you guys know to subscribe, you know to like, you know to comment, share the video, put it on social media. You guys know what to do. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.